You know what makes me mad? Makes me want to go out and chuck rocks at little old ladies on the park bench. It's that doggone telemarketers that call you on the telephone wanting to sell you something. Good golly, don't they know how to go out and get a real job that actually pays some money? For crying out loud. These people, they get these jobs working in these sweatshops in these little cubicles on a telephone headset, calling up people that don't want to be bothered. If I wanted your product, I would seek it out myself and I would go buy it, for goodness sakes. And yet you paid some kind of little measly commission that, shoot, won't even buy you a hamburger down at the hamburger joint. You're bothering people and aggravating them, bringing negativity on yourself. Go out and find you a real job someplace or get yourself self-employed. Do something good for humanity. My goodness. Been sitting tending to my own business. That's how most of my stories start out. I was sitting there tending to my own business and the phone rings. So I pick up the telephone and say hello. And the voice on the other end starts out, and they always start out this way. How are you today? Well, who in the hell wants to know? I mean, start out by telling me who you are. So that's what I said to him. Who in the hell are you? And he names off his name, and I just jotted it down on a piece of paper. And then he says what company he's with, and I jotted that down on a piece of paper, and he just keeps rattling. He's rattling like his jaw is loose on both ends, buddy. His ratchet jaw just kept a flapping. I'm sure that they must have been using him as a fan in the office with the way his lips was flapping. And he just kept going on about how he had the windows and siding and I don't know what all, and, wanted to make me a deal, blah, blah, blah. And me trying to get a word in edgewise, telling him, look, I'm not interested. And he wouldn't let me speak. Okay, well, if that's the way you want to be. So I just laid the phone down on the coffee table. And I went on about my business. I don't know. I let the dogs out. I made me a sandwich and I fiddled around. It must have been at least 10 minutes that passed. And I come back. I thought, well, he's surely hung up by now. So I pick up the phone and it's sort of a silence on the other end. I mean, ain't nobody talking to me, but there's somebody talking in the background. I mean, you could tell that it was one of them telemarketer things going in the background because there's other voices talking like they're on the phone with somebody. So I just held on to the phone and just listened. I didn't say a word. And then I hear him, the feller that called me. And he's talking to somebody else in the office. And he's calling me everything but a human being. I mean, he is turning the air absolutely blue talking about me because I had laid the phone down on him. So I just listened. And he went on, and he went on, and he went on, and he went on, and on, and on, and on. And I just listened. But while I was listening, I had picked up the phone book, and I had looked up the company's phone number in the phone book. Finally, I hear a click where he hung up. So I got me a dial tone, and I called their offices. Whoever it was that answered the phone, I said there to the receptionist or, whoever it was, I said, yes, I would like to speak to whoever there is in charge. And he says, well, what do you mean in charge? I said, well, there has to be a boss there. I mean, is there a CEO of the company? Is there a president? Is there some kind of a boss there at the company that's in charge of your telemarketers? And he said, well, yes, ma'am, that'd be Mr. So-and-so. So I jot his name down. I said, is he available for a phone call? This won't take long. And he said, well, let me see. And he puts me on hold. And about 30 seconds later, somebody gets on the telephone by the name of the feller's name I'd been given. And I asked him, do you have a telemarketer there by the name of so-and-so? Because I wrote that feller's name down. And he says, well, there's a lot of them out there. I'd have to check. I said, well, you might want to check on this one because I got a telephone call from him a little while ago, and I proceeded to tell him what I've just told you. And I said, now listen, I will never, ever, ever do business with your company under any circumstances whatsoever. You could be the last company on earth selling your product, and I still would not purchase from you. I would put up a tent in the backyard. Because I have been treated poorly by your company today. And not only that, I'll be telling everybody I know. about what happened to me today with your company. So this has given you some very, very bad press with what you pulled on me today. Not you personally, but your company, because you're in charge of what these morons are doing down there in your telemarketing room. And he, of course, was very apologetic. And I said, well, you ought to be thanking me. Because maybe, just maybe, if you pull that idiot off the telephone and get him out of there, it might save your company losing a lot more business than what you're going to lose with me. But maybe that's the way you want to run your business. And if so, maybe you go back down there and to your telemarketing room, pat him on the back and pin a medal on him. I don't care really what you do, but I do feel inclined to let you know why I'm calling you today. And while I'm at it, let me explain something to you. I am on the do not call list. And your company has called me bothering me today, and they have caused me a lot of grief and a lot of time. So I'm putting you on notice to make sure that you get my telephone number off of your list. Do not ever, ever, ever call me again, because if you do, we'll be taking this up with the authorities. And he said, oh, well, I'm very sorry, ma'am. We'll make sure we get your number off our list. I said, well, you make sure you do that. But shoot, Fire, I'll tell you what, this goes on all the doggone time. My phones are all on do not call list ever since that day. And that's been many years ago that happened. And I still, to this day, get telephone calls from these telemarketers because they're not paying no attention to the do not call list. People are not enforcing this thing about pushing it on the do not call thing. I mean, do you know that if you get called by these telemarketers repeatedly, you can bring them up on charges and they'll have to pay you money for bothering you? That's what needs to happen. A lot of these companies that are doing this telemarketing thing, they need to be put on notice, buddy. They need to have bills being sent to them saying you're going to pay this person this amount of money. Now, I know it's a little bit of hassle to do this. You got to file and you got to fill out paperwork and stuff to do this. But for goodness sakes, it's almost like free money if they're going to keep bothering you like this, calling you on the phone and aggravating the fire out of you. You might as well get a little bit of good out of it. Telemarketers. I'm telling you what, if you're out there doing telemarketing and you're listening to this, get yourself a real job. People don't want to be bothered on the phone with you peddling whatever it is you're peddling, and you ain't making no money anyway. Oh, wake up, America. Oh, snap.